Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Off-Farm Income Podcast. Hey, thank you so much for joining us here on our YouTube channel for episode number 919. Well, today's an FFA episode, and we are continuing on with our interviews of the American Star Finalists. Today, we're speaking with William Kellum, coming to us out of Georgia, now attending the University of Georgia and majoring in electrical engineering. You are going to love this story. You're going to love this young man's enthusiasm and his marketing methods for his landscape business in his hometown of Jefferson City, Georgia, is phenomenal. You are going to really enjoy this story. It's a lot of fun, and we're going to start it for you right now. Will, welcome to the show. Thank you so much for coming on today.
It's great to be here, Matt. Thank you for inviting me.
You bet. You know, when I first started doing Zoom interviews, I was kind of like, I'm not sure I like this. But doing all these interviews lately, especially for people who are American Star Finalists, I get to see a lot of really, really cool backdrops. And I got to say, I've seen some very cool ones. Yours is fantastic. So for anybody who is not watching, who's listening only, you have got the American flag right behind you. That's pretty awesome.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I figure as long as I'm doing the American Star Award, I better represent the red, white, and blue. And what better way than to have it just rested in the background for me?
Well, I like it. And you've been doing quite a few of these then, it sounds like, huh?
Yes, sir. So this has kind of been a year-long process as far as interviewing at the state level and then going from that to the national level. And then dating all the way back into 2018, we did landscape management proficiency from the area to state to national level. So they're very similar. Obviously, this year in 2020, we're doing a lot more Zoom, like you said, but very similar in the interview process.
Yeah, very cool. Well, I'm glad I could get in here too and get an interview with you. It's very cool. So you have been nominated for the American Star in Agribusiness. That is near and dear to my heart. This show is all about entrepreneurship, and I know you've got your own business, but that is great. That is a heck of an accomplishment. Congratulations on that.
Oh, thank you very much. It is definitely a very fun field to be in, something that you get to be very physical in, but also requires a lot of intellectual thinking along with it. So it's a fun field to be in.
That is great, man. Good for you. I'm excited, and we'll talk more about that coming up here in a second. You're currently at the University of Georgia, is that right?
Yes, sir, I am.
Okay, what year of school are you in?
So I call it a sophomore, maybe. So I'm in my fourth year in college. I actually started out at Athens Technical College, which is just down the road from the University of Georgia.
Okay.
Began studying engineering there, engineering technology specifically, and just kind of realized I wanted to have a 4-year degree in it. And lost a lot of that credit that I got. I don't know if you know, but the technical schools and university systems, they don't like each other.
Okay.
So if you take any classes there, they don't transfer. So I kind of had to relive an entire year. So basically, I should be a senior, but I have 2 more years to go.
Gotcha. Okay. Well, that's all right, man. It's all about the journey. All about the journey. So, yeah, very good. Okay. So you're a Bulldog now.
Yes, sir. Go Dogs.
Okay. Now, you went to high school at Jefferson High School, right?
Yes, sir.
What town in Georgia is that in?
So it's in Jefferson, Georgia,
Okay.
Which is in Jackson County, a.k.a. the largest agriculture county in the state.
No kidding. So the number one. And so
Yes,
what's Jefferson County known for? What kind of crops?
Mainly, if you drive through, you're going to see a lot of poultry and a lot of cattle.
Okay.
There's not any kind of crops really being grown out here.
Livestock.
I mean, as far as chicken houses, if you turn down the road, you're probably going to see a chicken house. So
Okay.
Gainesville, Georgia is right down the road, and that's poultry capital of the world. So
okay.
they come hand in hand.
Okay, so livestock, not row crops.
Yes, sir.
Okay, very interesting. What part of the state is Jefferson County in?
It's Jefferson City.
I'm sorry. Go on.
Yeah. Jackson County, Jefferson City. It's very confusing. We like to throw a lot of K's in there. But so if you're looking at a map of Georgia, we're sitting right in the northeast section.
Okay, northeast. Okay, yeah, very cool.
Below the mountains, but still not really that flat South Georgia that everybody talks about with the row crops, like you were saying.
Got it. Okay. Well, I've got a picture of it in my mind now.
Very
good. Okay, so now what about you? Did you grow up on a farm?
No, I did not actually. I grew up kind of just in the woods, did like the classic redneck down south. Like we didn't grow crops, but I just grew up playing in the woods and helping my parents out around the yard and stuff like that. That was kind of my first step into landscape management. But no, there was never any kind of farm. I know some of my friends that had a farm, and I helped them out there, but it was never a me family operation there.
Okay, so that's interesting. And by the way, when you say you grew up in the woods, you could be like Davy Crockett.
Yeah, basically down in the South, Davy Crockett, something like that. But definitely learned a lot of outdoors, but no kind of farming really.
Gotcha. Okay, well, so how did you get involved in the FFA then? How did that come about?
So in Jefferson. In the Jefferson City chapter of the FFA, you can start in middle school. I believe when I was coming through, it was in the 8th grade that you could take your first ag class. And so that was when I actually got involved in the FFA, started paying my dues and became an actual quote unquote member of the FFA.
Mm-hmm.
But like I said, I kind of been supporting agriculture my whole life. So in middle school started that. And then as I got into high school, that's when I actually got the green thumb in the chapter in the state. As far as competing in the FFA, I wasn't someone that ever showed animals. I played football in high school, so I really had no time for the FFA. I enjoyed it, and I participated in a lot of events, but I never got to actually be an officer or show cows, show pigs, anything like that I saw a lot of my friends doing and thought it would be fun. But it's just one of the things, like you got practice after school. Coaches don't let you skip that.
Yeah.
So, as I got into my senior year, football ended and I had a lot more time on my hands. And my ag advisor, Melissa Webb, she said, well, why don't you do this landscape management project? I was like, oh, that sounds like a good idea to me. And so I took off with that, and here I am. We got the ball rolling, and it's been quite an experience.
Man, that's a crazy story already. And I will tell you, I interview a lot of FFA students. I interview as many of the Star Finalists as I can. And and by the way, I totally get where you're coming from. But I've never heard anyone say, I really didn't have time for FFA, who has reached the level that you're currently at. And then for you to start a project your senior year after football season is over and to be able to get it to this level, that is rapid. That is quick. That's one heck of an accomplishment. I'm going to want to know more about that.
Thank you. So with that, I was doing landscape throughout high school. I started in the 8th grade, actually, kind of just a basic kid going around push mowing yards, and grew it from there. But it didn't really latch on with the FFA until that going from junior to senior year, where she was like, oh, well, you could use this in the landscape management proficiency.
Okay. Wow. That's interesting.
Yeah.
And so so I'm assuming with you being busy with football and stuff, were you ever an officer or anything like that in your FFA chapter?
No, sir. So like I said, it was kind of one of those things, they had a meeting after school.
Yeah.
All right, I'm going to be at practice. So I like you said, I'm sitting in that waiting room with all the other competitors in the Agribusiness Star Award. I heard a lot of, I was the president, I was the vice president.
Right.
And that is kind of intimidating, but looking back for me in high school, I was a football team captain. So if you want to, it's a different hat, but it's kind of the same position in those categories. So I learned a lot of the same leadership traits.
Sure.
In a different background, really.
That's really interesting. Well, let's do this. Well, let me do a quick spot for my sponsors, and then let's talk about your business, because I want to know how you grew this. So, everybody, of course, you all hear me say it 6 times a week, but absolutely love our sponsors here on the Off Farm Income Podcast. And, of course, I am talking about Lacrosse Footwear. You can find them over at lacrossefootwear.com. And, man, love talking about them when we do FFA interviews, because they're so proud to sponsor the FFA with $25,000 in scholarships as well as jackets. Every year they donate through the Gift of Blue program. And, of course, we use their Alpha Range boots here on our farm in Idaho every single day of the year. At least I do, out feeding, out irrigating, whatever it is I have to do. I'm always wearing them. And, hey, we want you to have just as good of an experience as I do every day. You can find out everything they've got to offer you over at powderriver.com, and you can pick those up anywhere you buy your farm and ranch clothing. And then, of course, Powder River Livestock Handling Equipment, just a brand I've known about my whole life. Everybody I ever knew raising cattle talked about having Powder River, and of course, they were developed out here in the West where I live for over 80 years now for some of the wildest cattle that we bring in off of our rangelands. And I'll tell you what, they've designed equipment that is cow smart and cow tough and can handle those type of cattle. And if you're looking for equipment that's going to last you a lifetime, you're going to pass it down to the next generation and is going to get the job done stress-free, reducing any potential for injury, well, Powder River is the answer. You can find everything they have to offer for you over at powderriver.com, and let your local farm and ranch retailer know you want to see that Powder River green out in their sales yard so you can buy the finest in livestock handling equipment as well. Okay, Will, let's get back to you and your business. So what is the name of your lawn care, your landscape business?
So name-wise, there's been two over time.
Okay.
As I said, we started out. This was actually just, like I said, push mowing yards and stuff. Came together as a business with a friend, and we titled it Mason and Kellum Lawn Services. So just kind of our last name butted up together, Mason and Kellum Lawn Services LLC. And then since college is kind of going on, we've kind of had to separate it, and I have my own now, and that one is 47 Lawn Care LLC.
Okay. All right. So we know the origins of the first name. What's the origins of the second name?
So 47 comes from, as I said, I played football in high school, and a lot of people, when we would go and service their houses, would ask, hey, do you guys play football? Here in Jefferson, Georgia, football is king. That's what it is, small town rivalry with everyone.
Okay.
So they'd ask, do you play football? I'd say, yes, sir. I'm number 47. They say, oh, number 47. I know you on the field. You're that fullback. And so it was kind of just that small town thing. Is we didn't really have a reputation built yet, but they could look and say, oh, well, this is how you play the game of football, so I'm going to trust you with my yard or whatever.
Interesting.
It was kind of a cool reputation thing, and I decided whenever I was going to take it on my own, that's what I wanted to carry with me.
Oh, that's great. That's interesting. I always talk about the story you have and the reputation you automatically have being an FFA member. I've never thought about it on the reverse side, that somebody watches you play football and they get a feel for your work ethic. They get a feel for how you would be working for them, and it builds trust that way. That's really interesting.
Most definitely, yeah. That's how it happened.
Okay. So how old were you when you the first time somebody paid you, other than a relative, the first time somebody paid you to mow a lawn or do something in their yard for them?
I'd say the age would be about 14, kind of going into that 8th grade, 9th grade. Because as I said, I grew up in the sticks. And so you didn't have people around you to cut their grass. Mm-hmm. My 9th grade year, we moved into a neighborhood, and that's when I actually had neighbors around me that I could say, hey, you want me to cut your grass?
Okay. And
that really started to snowball into it.
Okay. And what got you out there to solicit people and try to get them to pay you to do this?
I saw potential. We did research projects, as I said, in the 8th grade in middle school, and you had to research some kind of agriculture service, and I picked landscaping kind of just because you see a lot of landscape trucks go around this area. I knew it would be an easy one to find research on. Mm-hmm. But as I studied it, I really saw that, oh, hey, this is something that can be really profitable and takes a lower amount of capital. Obviously, at that time, I didn't say, oh, lower amount of capital. But in my 8th grade mind, I was like, oh, well, I have a lawnmower. These are things I already have that I could go and work with. So whenever we ended up in a neighborhood, rather than go be a lifeguard at the swimming pool or work at the rec center, I said, well, why don't I just, go around and cut people's grass? That way I can be the boss. I don't have to answer to somebody. I can make my own hours. And that was really the biggest thing at the time. It wasn't, a lot of people ask me, was it the money that got you into it? I would say it was more so the idea that I could make my own schedule. Mm-hmm. And I didn't have to answer to anybody, really be an independent person, which would transition into the entrepreneurship.
Man, that is interesting. That took me 25 years longer than you to realize. So when I was 14, I went and got a job. I wanted money, and I got a job, but I never thought of starting my own business, nor did I care about or even think about being my own boss or the freedom or whatever would come with that. And you had that thought that early. Have you ever had an actual job, meaning working for somebody else, or have you always made your money being independent?
So currently, besides like if other like landscaper, especially like older professionals would ask like, hey, would you like to help me with this?
Mm-hmm.
That's how I learned a lot of the skilled trades in landscaping, was actually helping those people. But that would only be kind of like a day every now and then or something like that. The only actual job that I've ever had that somebody said, hey, this is your schedule, come in, is I actually got this year as an internship working for local electrical co-op.
Okay.
So as I said, I'm going to the University of Georgia, so it's to study electrical engineering, and I'm in the engineering department of that co-op.
Okay. Very interesting. So would you consider yourself like a natural born entrepreneur?
I would definitely say I have something that I like to think outside the box more than a lot of people. The biggest trait that I've always told people has brought me above others is just the natural work ethic and working with, other people. Like I said, I worked with other landscapers, and I would just outwork the other help. Mm-hmm. And so I always told myself, why would I ever go work for someone else and just get paid that kind of wage when I know I could work above that and mm-hmm. make my own, rather than say, okay, here's how many hours I worked. Let me say, this is what I've done. Mm-hmm. That's definitely the entrepreneur spirit that I was kind of just born with.
Okay. So tell me what happened your senior year. I mean, tell us the level that your business is at, or how many customers you have, or help us understand how, when this became your project so late in your high school FFA journey, how it can get you, 4 years later, how it can get you to the level of being an American Star Finalist.
So numbers-wise, this is the biggest thing you need to know about Mason and Kellum Lawn Services, is that dating back from when we joined together and formed a company, we grew 90% each year. Oh, wow. And that's in customers, and that is in net profit at the end of the year. So if you take any number, I don't know if we want to sit here and talk numbers, but if you want to take any number and grow it by 90% every year, mm-hmm. it snowballs a lot of money, especially for some kids that are doing this almost part-time in high school. We're going after football practice and cutting grass. We don't have, this is not our full-time job because of school. And so that was the biggest just turning point for it to say, this is more than just something to do. This is an actual career. This mm-hmm. is an actual enterprise to work with. Was that 90% growth. It became something that we actually had to quit advertising because we just had no more time to handle the people that were calling. And that was, we had branded ourselves with such a reputation of doing a good job, and just also the fact that we were and still are to this day killer advertisers. That'd be definitely another point to talk about on this podcast, is just the different advertising techniques that you see today and that we really picked up on and used.
Okay, well, go for it. How did you guys advertise?
Okay, so number one, most basic and definitely most widespread thing that you see a lot of people do was we took our business cards and put them in people's mailboxes. Okay. Just caked neighborhoods, just went through in every single mailbox, whether the yard looked like it needed help or not. And you see a lot of people do that, especially in this area. But probably my two favorite advertising techniques, we'll make it three. So as I said, we both played football and we were both recognized a lot for that. And so we paid to be into the football program so that our picture was in there. But what that also did was kind of like how you sponsor people on the shows, is that whenever we would have a sack or a tackle or a good run, the announcer would actually come on and say, that sack was brought to you by Mason and Kellum Lawn Services, LLC. One call, that's all, 706-870. I won't say the rest just in case somebody calls it. But anyway, that was probably one of my favorite things that we did that got a lot of people. Like I said, people recognize that number. Yeah. So for them to say, hey, well, that kid plays the game of football well, and that carries a lot of weight in Jefferson, Georgia. Like I said, it had a lot to do with our area. People would call us because of that and say, hey, good game. Can you come and do this for me? Sure, we'll be there on Saturday.
That is. Can I ask you about that really quick? That is so outside the box and so innovative. Is that something that they did for other businesses at your high school football games, or was it special for you guys because you're on the team?
So with other businesses, they would be put into the program, And I believe there was kind of like a platinum member that you would get like your name called during a game for sponsoring, whether it be the band or the football team, something you had bought for it. But obviously we did not have money to be a platinum sponsor. So it was something that we really kind of slid under the door with, that we were on the team and were very well known in the school. So they kind of, they gave it for us that, if we got a sack or got something like that, they would call our names.
So they leveraged, you leveraged your relationship with these folks and said, hey, every time we do something noteworthy on the field when you're announcing it, throw in the fact that we got a lawn care business.
Yes, sir. And actually the announcer of the football games, we cut his grass. So like, as you said, we had the leverage on both ends. We were a sponsor and we did have a personal relationship with them. So.
Did he get charged?
Huh? Oh yeah, hey, we charged everybody. We can't.
You could be
get away with a charity service, but
I know, but you could be trading the announcements. You know what I'm saying? I don't think there'd be anything wrong with that. Trading the announcements for a free cutting or whatever every here and there. I mean, to me, that would be a legitimate way to do things, a creative way to do things. Really. Oh, that's great. That is great that they did that. So, how many home games did you have a season?
Including playoffs, I guess senior year we had 7 or 8 would probably be my guessing.
And you said you're a fullback. Were you playing both sides though?
Mm-hmm, both sides. So either whether it was like a big run, or whether it was a sack, interception, or something like that. My partner Alex Mason, he played in the secondary, so he was a corner and a safety. So if he got an interception, they would say that interception was brought to you by. So it was a lot of fun.
Did you feel extra
recognition?
Did you feel like
the business for the play too? But just to hear that business was so much fun.
That is really cool. Did you feel extra pressure? Like, man, I got to get a sack. They haven't talked about my business at all. Or you're going to Mason, like, what are you doing out there? Quit tipping the ball and make an interception. I mean,
it is some recognition, definitely. I never really thought about it that way. I guess we just always had pretty good games where we didn't have to, say, oh, you better get an interception this game where our client base is down. But
that's funny.
Yeah.
Okay, so you had the announcements, you had the business cards. What else were you doing to promote and market your business?
Other two key things. As I said, we're two very well-known individuals in the high school. My friend Alex, he was, just a really good guy. Everybody enjoyed being around Alex. Same thing for me. I guess being on the football team, we had a lot of leverage with the younger kids too. Mm-hmm. I was a homecoming king in high school, so that kind of just a very well-known status. So we have this business. Mm-hmm. With that business, we make our own T-shirts. Okay. And I think a lot of companies go around and give away their T-shirts. We did not do that. Looking back, we probably should have given away T-shirts. We sold them and made a profit off of our T-shirts. Okay. And we actually ended up selling 65 T-shirts in a school of, I think we were at around 900 or 1,000 at the time, high school. And that was just a big thing to see people walking around town, and you just have all these billboards walking around Jefferson, and that definitely promoted the business in a way that people could once again say, oh, do you know those people that cut grass? And oh yes, they're so and so at the high school. They're Will or they're Alex.
Okay, so you said there were 2 more ways you marketed. One of those was the T-shirts. What was the second way?
Oh, so the other one was we entered a talent show, and we didn't have much talent. We were football players. We didn't have much musical talent. And I think it was Alex who taught me into doing it. But we got up there and sang Alan Jackson and Jimmy Buffett's "It's 5 o'clock somewhere." Okay. And that was just because it was in the middle of a pretty serious talent show. I mean, there were some very talented kids that sang up there with us. We got up there and we're like, all right, guys, we had Hawaiian shirts on and cowboy hats, and we sang "It's 5 o'clock somewhere," and just got everybody clapping with the song and things like that. But at the end, we turned around and said, that song was brought to you by Mason and Kellum Lawn Services. One call, that's all. And once again, just people seeing that and say, hey, these are really good kids. These are really good young men. I'd like them to do my yard. Because, people's grandparents, people's parents were there to be whoever was singing, and it just got us just that step ahead. So that
Wow.
was just another factor that went into that advertising, kind of the publicity, but also getting some kind of reputation with it.
That is great. Did you send a video of that to Alan Jackson?
I did tag him in it on Instagram. I never heard back, but I let him know if he needed a backup singer, we were there.
Or just somebody to choreograph a video or something. Yeah. That's awesome. That's great. Okay, so when did you guys part ways because of, I guess, of logistics, it sounds like?
Yeah, so we actually ended up going to a separate school. Whenever we started, we were both going to Athens Tech, and that was kind of our reasoning for it. Was it's a smaller school, and we could kind of work our schedules, combine our schedules, so that we would be able to work together. And as I transferred to, actually, I went to the University of North Georgia first, and then University of Georgia. It just started kind of falling apart. It was hard to find our schedules working together.
Okay.
And so that was kind of that was the key factor in splitting it apart, and just dividing the business up between us.
Okay. So when did that take place? How long ago?
This past winter, actually.
Okay.
We kind of during the winter when everything was kind of dormant.
And then with you guys being away at school, and I'm sorry, my Georgia geography is lacking here. How far is Athens from Jefferson, Georgia?
I actually kind of lucked out. University of Georgia is only 30 minutes away from where I am. So it's still a commutable school for me.
Okay, so you were able to maintain and keep running the business while in college?
Yes, sir, yeah.
Okay, so
I currently am.
Okay, and so that leads me to my next question. So then you guys split up the business. Is Alex still running his half and you're running half? Did you just split the clients up and keep going?
Yeah, we actually did. This is another fun thing just about being in business with a friend. We actually sat down and had like an NFL draft style breakup of business, just like with my first round pick, I'll take so-and-so. And it just went down the list. And I mean, we made deals too. I mean, I'm not going to make an Atlanta Falcons reference because they're not that great, but we really were just official about it in the best way possible, but had a good time with it. And Alex is still functioning with his side of the business. And we're both still going.
Okay. And then was there equipment to split up, and was it even, or did somebody have to buy somebody out on equipment?
So as far as equipment goes, we actually had come to the point where we were both almost running our own crew singularly. So we had 2 zero-turn lawnmowers. We had 4 weed eaters. We had 2 backpack blowers. So everything actually did split up well. I think the only thing that got bought out was the trailer we had. I let Alex buy the trailer from me,
okay,
or at least half of it. So that was really the only thing that had to be sold.
Got it. Okay, that's awesome. So now, how have you kept going with FFA during these? I guess it's been 4 years now since you've been in high school, 3 or 4 years.
Yeah, I think 3 years. So with that, the American degree is something that happens during college. As I said, I actually kind of got a late start to the FFA, so I am actually getting my American degree this year.
Okay.
I think most people get that their sophomore year, so I'm a year or 2 late. So that's kind of been my process of it.
Okay. Well, what kept you wanting to push through? Like, I don't mean to be crass or something like that, but what, you were in FFA during high school, but your other priorities kind of put FFA in a backseat position, which is fine. You do what you want to do and what's best for you. What all of a sudden gave you the drive or the devotion to FFA after high school to, while you're away at college, you're running your business, to continue doing a record book, continuing participating and pushing for things like the American degree?
So one thing kind of outside of the question is that, a lot of that record keeping and everything like that, that's just a part of good business. And that's something that FFA teaches, and I think it's great about it. So I was already kind of keeping up with everything I needed to. But as far as the reason why, I tell people this a lot, like, before I ever got a plaque or won an award, I knew what I was doing was worth recognition. Getting a plaque is a good pat on the back, but I knew that, like I said, I am outworking a lot of people my age and a lot of people out there in general. And getting the plaque meant a lot. And as I said, I won the National Proficiency Award for Landscape Management in 2018. And as you said, I could have hung it up there. But the reason why to take it a step further and keep on pushing, keep doing these interviews, keep doing all that is for the people that have helped me get to this point. I know it is something that they want me to finish and do.
Mm-hmm.
And this is not a me thing. It took a lot of my parents pushing me to be better. A lot of my FFA advisors telling me, hey, this is how you could do this. This will make it better. This is how you could enter this. Like, as I said, I would have never stumbled upon landscape management proficiency if it were not for my advisor.
Mm-hmm.
And that meant a lot to me to win that award. So when I hopefully win this one, it is for the people at home. This one is for all of them that have helped me along the way.
That's great, man. That is a good answer right there. That's a very good answer. Really cool. Very cool. Okay. So you're majoring in electrical engineering.
Yes, sir.
But you're this natural born entrepreneur, and it's not the money you love, it's the freedom and the independence. So where is all this heading?
Good question. So the electrical engineering, and I won't go too deep into this, but this is something that when I first started college, I wondered, should I be in college in the first place? I am an entrepreneur. Why study? And I always felt like it was something of my Christian faith that God was telling me, this is something that I have made you for, to take it a step further, more than just landscaping.
Mm-hmm.
And I've just seen so many doors be opened up as far as, a big question was, hey, when I started the University of Georgia, how am I going to keep this business going? How am I going to keep a lawn care and landscaping business going? And he's really opened the door for me to begin hiring people and keep this enterprise alive while I continue to study. And hopefully one day I'd like to see it transition into something that could possibly work together. It's called LEED. It's LEED certification.
Mm-hmm.
And it's basically electrical engineering combined with landscaping. Mm-hmm. Legitimately, exactly as you said, it is what I am. So I would love to work in a field like that if possible. But definitely there are opportunities out there for this to continue.
How do those two things combine?
So with the LEED certification, you're looking at, like, let's say in a big city like Atlanta, is an hour from here, those buildings can get LEED certification, and it's a big tax write-off. But basically, like, if you can catch runoff water and use it in urinals and stuff like that, where mm-hmm. you don't necessarily need clean water in, and then also renewable energy. So that those two things really go together in that, they're looking for a landscape design that can catch runoff. Mm-hmm. They're also looking for a landscape design that can promote oxygenation. They're looking for like green roofs and things like that. And then with the electrical engineering, it's solar panels and wind power that kind of go with those. So it's a cool combination of the two.
That is.
And be in a field together.
That's awesome, man. Good for you. That's really exciting. I'm picturing you having a firm at some point in the future that provides kind of this holistic approach to green energy and landscaping and how it all ties together. Is that what you're right now thinking?
Something like that, where I could, as I said, help people promote this green energy, because I believe it's where everything is headed. If we're going to continue building buildings and growing the population, then we're going to need to do something about this. So I would love to have a firm company that not only works with the LEED, but also just has a landscaping branch and an engineering branch. It doesn't have to be, we help you with this LEED certification, because I'm in love with both of them.
Yeah.
And to me, it doesn't matter what I do. As I said, it's a faith calling to this engineering. So I know I'm on the right track either way, whatever I end up doing. But
that's awesome.
I'd love.
How easy does it make it to get to class when you're that fired up about it?
I'll tell you, Matt. Especially this semester, starting at UGA, I've been waking up at 4 and 5 a.m. every day, and I just have a drive to succeed and to get it done, go to class, learn. And I feel a huge passion for it. So it makes it really easy.
That's awesome, man. Good for you. Have you, being an entrepreneur, have you discovered Gary Vaynerchuk yet?
No, I have not.
All right. That's going to be free advice to you today. And of course, my advice is worth what you pay for it. So it may be worth nothing at all, but that's somebody. Everything you're describing to me, you getting up at 4 and 5, you being fired up, you seeing the vision, you seeing how the college classes work. I mean, you said something to me that was really significant, and that is you thought for a point in time, I'm an entrepreneur, why do I need to go to college? And I think that's a very legitimate thought and a very legitimate question to ask yourself, because the answer to that question might be, I shouldn't. Not that I don't need to, but I shouldn't, because it's going to cost me money, it's going to limit my ability to grow my business. But you have seen a way to get training and education that's got a very practical application that you can combine with the business you already have, and you're fired up and you've got this work ethic and you want to push and you want to make it work. And I'm telling you right now, if you just start watching his YouTube videos, checking out his podcast or whatever, and he is a no BS guy, but once you learn his story, I think that you will be a fan, and I think that he will speak to you much better than I can. Because your styles seem very, very similar. So I would definitely recommend that. Just look up Gary V on YouTube when we get done. Gary V, VEE. You'll find Gary Vaynerchuk, and you shoot me an email. You let me know if that's the right fit. But I've got a feeling here that it is. That's really awesome. Okay, well, so back to the American Star Award, Agribusiness, which I love. Has this ever happened before? At Jefferson High School, has there been an American Star nominee?
Not to my knowledge. I know we have had a national officer before. Mm-hmm. Cannot remember his first name, but he was one of the Thurman boys.
Okay.
If any of the Thurmans are listening, they'll know who I'm talking about. Okay. He was a national officer, and that was a huge deal to run through Jefferson. Like I said, Jackson County is agriculture county, Jackson County is the agriculture county. And Jefferson City is kind of the small branch off of the county school. So for us to have that, it is a really big deal. And I do kind of, like I said, this is for the people at home, and that transitions to the city as well.
Oh, that is awesome. I love that story. Okay, one last question before we wrap it up, Will. I don't even know where to begin. I want to get advice for future FFA students, and I'm not sure if I should ask you about marketing or if I should ask you about work ethic. Let me ask you about work ethic. So you're getting up at 4 and 5 in the morning in college, which is unheard of. Tell me about work ethic and why you need to find something that drives you to get up that early, that makes you that excited to really achieve success.
So, Matt, it's a tough question to answer because, looking back at all the ages I've done this at, work ethic is what has been consistent. There are hot days in Georgia where you do not want to do this work. And that goes with, my landscaping or whatever your FFA project may be. There are going to be days where it stinks. Mm-hmm. But it is about finding something that you can just pour passion into. I've always gotten passion out of, at the end of the day, looking at something I've done and saying, wow, that looks good. Or somebody coming up to me and say, wow, my yard, whatever, looks so much better. Thank you so much. Taking pride in what you do as a result of your work ethic will just multiply your success. And so that's what I would tell people about work ethic is find something you can take pride in. Don't look for the money. It's very tempting, especially in agriculture. People say, oh, well, here's this product. I should do that because it makes the most money. And that's not true, because you will find yourself doing something every day that you hate. And you should find a job that you can at least find 15 minutes of satisfaction in every day. And if you can find that, you've done it right. I find myself finding more than 15 minutes of satisfaction, but for most people, that's what you should be aiming for.
Well, I love your motivation. The money will come. I mean, that's really not something that you necessarily have to live or worry about. You can just adjust your lifestyle to whatever your income is at the time. But choosing entrepreneurship and choosing a business type because of the lifestyle it allows you and because it makes you happy and because you don't have to defer enjoyment until some magical retirement date, you get to enjoy life every day right now on your own terms. That is the reason right there. That's awesome. And I'm gonna end it on that, Will. That's what's that?
It's very well said. I wish I would have said that. To find something that you do every day. You never have to retire.
Right.
That is the goal.
100% correct. 100% correct. And that's the way I feel about it too. I used to, when I worked a government job for 15 years, I was on a countdown to retirement. I got an early retirement. I thought that was the thing to do. And then I finally got out and started my own business. And now I never think about retirement. I just think about when's the day going to come that me doing a podcast is going to sound really stupid because I'm so old. That's the only thing I think of. But no, I love your story. Best of luck to you on this on the American Star Award. So we're airing your episode on November 4th. So we will know by the time it comes out where you landed. So
that's kind of spooky right there. I'll be watching this and be like, oh.
I'll be able to announce it on the introduction. So yeah, I'm looking forward to that. But yeah, this has been a lot of fun, Will. Thank you very much for coming on.
Hey, thank you for having me, Matt. Hope you have a good one.
Well, thank you for being here, everybody, and thank you to William Kellum for coming on the Off-Farm Income Podcast today. And as always, enjoy your journey to the ultimate lifestyle business, agriculture.